Welcome back to Trends, presented in partnership with Travel Daily News Asia Pacific. I'm with Maria Helena de Senna Fernandes, Director of Macau Tourism Office. We're at the Part of Travel Mart 2025 and you are watching Trends. Helena, I've been to Macau. I love Macau, but when I think of Macau, I think gambling, but there's a lot more to the story and product offering. Can you share with us what's on offer?
Well, a lot of people might have the idea that Macau is gambling and gambling only.
Yeah.
But in fact, if we look back into our history, we have over nowadays, probably between 450 to 500 years of exchange between China and Portugal. So it has a lot of heritage to it. It has also, with the heritage, it brings us architecture. It brings us a lot of, lifestyle, preferences. It also brings us a lot of good food because of the mixture. So in fact, in 2005, the Historic Center of Macau has been listed by UNESCO on its World Heritage list. And in 2017, we also got UNESCO to accept us as one of its, Creative Cities of Gastronomy now. So we are among the 56 cities, UNESCO Creative Cities of Gastronomy, and going strong there as well. This year in particular, we are also enjoying the status as one of the East Asian cultural cities, and this is one of the byproducts of a kind of pact between the cultural ministers of China, Japan, as well as Korea. So we're doing a lot of exchange, and besides that, the Chinese central government has given us three very important roles to play, in terms of our positioning. One, as a world center of tourism and leisure, and then secondly, as a trade and services platform between China and the Portuguese-speaking countries because of our roots with Portugal. And then thirdly, as a very important exchange center where in Macau, Chinese culture is the mainstream, but at the same time, we are a center for different cultures to have exchange in Macau. So all in all, there is a lot more to what you see, on the surface of Macau.
Who's visiting Macau? Japan and Korea have been up there as top nations that visit en masse. Which other destinations, and what are you doing to have more of the world visit Macau?
Well, obviously, the biggest market right now, and I believe that would be for many other places, many other destinations as well, would be mainland China.
Yeah.
So mainland China is number one and way above all the rest because of the sheer size of the source market.
Yeah.
So we have over 20 million Chinese visitors every year coming to Macau. Well, at the turn of the century, we're talking about 6 million visitors a year, and now we're talking about this year, I believe it would go back to like 38, 39 million, visitors a year. So we're looking at, China mainland as the number one. Number two would be Hong Kong. They, around 7 million Hong Kong visitors come every year. And then Taiwan, and coming down the line, it would be places like Korea, the Philippines, obviously other Southeast Asian countries, Japan, as you said as well. So, and interestingly, the USA actually features among our top 10 destinations.
Wow.
So we are actually looking at consolidating our Northeast as well as Southeast Asian source markets. And besides that, right now we're branching into other new destinations. Say, for example, the Middle East. We've just done our first B2B roadshow into the Middle East this year. And then obviously Europe, we're coming back to Europe as well, and the States, of course, and we are also exploring other possibilities along the line.
Now, you mentioned China, obviously that's your number one market and a major powerhouse of tourism. You didn't mention India. And India we're seeing as a powerhouse for Thailand. Where is the Indian market and Macau?
It's not yet within the top 10, but definitely we are seeing more people coming out from India to Macau, particularly, interestingly, to one of our integrated resorts. Obviously they did 2 times the IFA Awards, which is, one of the very prestigious, cinema awards, for India. They've done it twice in that particular concessionaire, so that integrated resort does get a lot of Indian visitors nowadays. And we're not just talking about business visitors from India, we're also talking about family visitation from India. So you see, mom, pop, as well as kids, moving around that particular integrated resort. So we're happy to see that, and hopefully, visitor numbers will come stronger in the future. We don't have a direct flight to India yet, and we hope that somewhere down the line we can see some of that operation going forwards. So that's why we also work very closely with Hong Kong and also Guangdong province, just across the border from Macau, so as to make our destination as a whole more, I would say, more conducive to bringing more Indian visitors as well.
I've talked to a couple of destinations and they're eyeing tourism blended with entertainment. Now, that's a huge opportunity for Macau and probably your existing market.
Right.
So is entertainment, that's a major part of what is being offered and an attraction, presumably?
We have a very big gaming operation in Macau. In 2002, actually, the tender was launched in 2001. The government decided to open up, instead of a monopoly, we now have, different kinds of companies also, operating different integrated resorts in Macau. In 2022, even during the pandemic, we launched a second tender because it's after 20 years already of the first tender. So we have to launch a second tender with their contracts starting in 2023 for 10 years. And in this particular new tender, the government put a lot of emphasis on what we call non-gaming elements coming into Macau, among which are things like, attracting more international visitors and also getting more performance activities, cultural activities, even sports activities and other kinds of even meetings and conventions into Macau. So yes, if you want to operate a casino in Macau, you have to commit to the government to also expand very, very much so the non-gaming part of the mix. So right now we're seeing a lot more performances coming to Macau. We're seeing a lot of, I would say, big international sports events coming to Macau, and we're also seeing a lot of cultural events coming to Macau, as well as meetings and conventions. So nowadays, I would say that we have a strategy called Tourism Plus, meaning to say that we're using tourism as the anchor, but we're also trying to develop new elements coming into the tourism and the whole tourism foray. And interestingly, we were the Chinese Tourism Academy had an annual study, and this year they just launched the latest rankings in terms of Chinese visitors going outside of the mainland, where they would which are their favorite destinations, and we came on top of that. For two reasons. One, because we have a very, very vibrant entertainment scene, things for people to do. And secondly, because we are friendly. So I guess that, going forward, we have to continue to be friendly and not just trying to be friendly, but being really friendly to our visitors. That's why we have an ongoing courtesy campaign, amongst all the population in Macau. And secondly, doing more in terms of different forms of entertainment.
Helena, I have to talk about the big S, sustainability.
Right.
How is that impacting Macau, and how does that influence your marketing?
Well, sustainability, I think this is not only a buzzword. I think it is here to stay, and we have to make the destination sustainable as well. Many things we are doing, and I think technology also helps in a big way. People talk about over-tourism or overcrowding. We see overcrowding in certain parts of town, certain times of the day, or certain times of the month, or maybe certain times of the week as well. So what we have been doing in the last couple of years is coming up with an app which actually allows people, our visitors or even local people, to consult and see, okay, for the next couple of hours, we have about 100, different places in Macau. What would be the predicted congestion in that part of town? Wow. So because of, that possible congestion, we would be able to suggest to people, okay, instead of going there at this particular hour, go somewhere else, So then that would also help the other parts of Macau also come into the tourism, scene, and help those little, different communities in different parts of Macau to be able to benefit from tourism as well. So that in that sense, the business becomes more sustainable, and also that helps to ease the congestion. And secondly, not only the government, obviously we have the Environment Protection Bureau coming up with all sorts of ideas about, how to do business more green in a sense, and now for our own events, the MGTO also purchases carbon, offsets, credits as well. So we're trying to pass that message about sustainability. We have an obligation to the United Nations as we are also, we're enjoying that status of UNESCO Creative City. We have to also, be able to respond to that sustainability drive, especially the SDGs, the 17 SDGs. So we're working hard on that. And it's not just the Government Tourism Office, it's a concerted effort of the entire city.
Now, you're at the front line of tourism. What trends do you see for next year and maybe the next 5 years?
Well, the trend is, I would say that in terms of numbers, it would be, a really big shift towards more free independent travel, less group travel, and even group travel, smaller sizes, more tailor-made, itineraries, rather than, just the, over-the-shelf kind of product that you sell to them. So a lot more, a lot more requirement is into, things that, I would like to do rather than, what normally the travel agency would sell to you. So I think that, we have to become more personalized. We have to understand better what different generations want to do. It's not just the Gen Z, it's also the silver market. It's also people coming for special interests, what sort of things that they would like to see or what sort of things we have to offer to them. Because we're hosting the part of the Chinese National Games this year, as well as the Paralympic Games as well, for it's the Chinese National Paralympic Games as well. So we are this year doing a little test, I call it a pilot test on a new app which helps people, especially those with disabilities, to navigate the different venues and help them to get to where they would like to get to within the venues of all those places where the matches are going on. This will be a pilot thing that we're doing for this year, but next year we're looking at even a bigger picture. We might be even moving that app to other tourist attractions of Macau, trying to help people with disabilities to navigate and get to the different tourist attractions. So this is something that we're working on. Other things, other interesting things that we're doing, because we are tasked with tourism right now is not just working for tourism. The government has a 1+4 strategy, meaning to say using tourism as the one to help 4 new industries to grow. We're looking at technology, we're looking at Chinese traditional medicine, we're looking at even modern finance, we're looking at MICE as well as culture and sports. So yes, we have to be able to provide the opportunity to use tourism as the lever, and all these new industries can grow with the help of tourism. So yes, there's a lot of work in front of us.
My last question is going to get personal.
Okay.
I'm going to come to Macau.
Okay.
What dish do you recommend that I have that's iconic for Macau? I love food.
Okay, a lot of people would like to try the African chicken or the Portuguese chicken. Yeah,
Wow.
But anyway, the Portuguese chicken you can't get in Portugal because it uses saffron. Saffron, comes from India or comes from Southeast Asia. So basically, these are all the very interesting mixes of culture. I personally would like, I like to eat more what we call the minchi, which is a minced meat with rice, with white rice. Very kind of home food, but I would say really my comfort food.
Yeah. Spicy or not?
Not spicy, well, in Macau, this food is not that spicy if you compare to Thailand or if you compare to India. But I would say it's milder, but then you can also have your spices as well.
So all you foodies out there, now we know what to be dining at Macau. Thanks, Helena.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us at the Trends Pop-Up Studio at Party Travel Mart 2025. Have a successful event. Keep doing the great job of promoting Macau. And I wish you a great afternoon.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Khap khun kha.